the best time to market is actually during every season.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
And hello, everybody. This is Dustin Harris, the Appraiser Coach. You are listening to the Appraiser Coach Podcast. I thank each and every one of you for joining us. We are nearing 20,000 downloads, folks. That is huge. In just a few months that we've been on the air, you guys are making this a phenomenal success, and I appreciate all your support. Appreciate you reaching out there on social media and sharing this with your other appraiser friends. It's been wonderful to share this information with appraisers across the country, and we are seeing and finally getting some feedback from appraisers where they are transforming their business by listening to this podcast and other resources that we have put out there. So thank you very, very much. Well, folks, we are sponsored today by Alamode Software, alamode.com or 800-ALAMODE for more information. Alamode is providing appraiser software for over 29 years, almost 30 years. I've been using it for over 20 years in my own office, and it is phenomenal. If you want to have more efficiency and more effectiveness at what you do, go to alamode.com/free trial for a 15-day free trial. That's alamode.com/free trial. We're also sponsored by DataMaster. They also have a free 14-day trial at datamasterfreetrial.com/coach. Again, datamasterfreetrial.com/coach for more information. And finally, we are sponsored by Working RE Magazine. Working RE not only comes to your home and your mailbox, but also to your computer in the form of workingre.com. Please go there now and check them out for more information on how you can be a more efficient, more effective, and more informed real estate appraiser. Well, folks, speaking of being more efficient, more effective, and getting the word out as to who you are and what you do, I have on the line with me Mr. Ryan Lundquist of Sacramento, California. Ryan is a very successful real estate appraiser, and one of the reasons that Ryan is so successful is he is the local expert in Sacramento. And he is the local expert. Why? Because number one, he knows a lot, but number two, because he puts himself out there. He kind of paints a target on his chest, if you will, and says, here I am, I know a little bit about appraising, and I'm going to share what I know with the world. And as a consequence, he's been very, very successful in building his business, mostly through social media, through Facebook, through blogs, through his online presence, Twitter. I've known Ryan via the social media realm for many, many years, and grateful to have him on the line. Ryan, welcome. Your URL, your website is sacramentoappraisalblog.com. And tell us more, Ryan, why is it that you are so focused in the media world or the social media world? I mean, you're a real estate appraiser. That's not what real estate appraisers do.
That's right, Dustin. Well, first, hey, thanks so much for having me today, and I hope this can be helpful for everyone that's listening, and I look forward to interacting with others too later. But yeah, really, I mean, when people think about appraisers, we often have not the best image, and so people are happy if the appraisal meets value, but if it's too high, too low, you could have some issues and get some negative, reviews and whatnot, But really, social media presents an incredible platform and opportunity for appraisers to show their humanity and to be able to connect with others. And so it's sort of like if you were a fisherman, you'd have to ask, where are the fish and how can I connect with the fish? And I think in today's climate, with so much being online, we ask ourselves, how can we connect with potential and existing customers and clients? And I think the answer is online in many cases.
Well, Ryan, I can tell you that I deal with appraisers across the country. And when I say I deal with appraisers, I mean I'm talking to hundreds of appraisers every month and thousands, even I would say tens of thousands of appraisers every year. And when I say talking to, I'm not just saying talking at in the form of this podcast or other things where I send out information, but I'm talking about interacting with one-on-one or in big groups with appraisers across the nation. And I can tell you I can count on probably one hand the number of appraisers that I would say really get it when it comes to social media. So I guess the big number one question, and by the way, you are probably the number one. I don't say probably. I know for a fact that you are number one as far as the activity and the presence that you have as far as a real estate appraiser goes. So that's why I wanted to have you on today. My question to you is, why should an appraiser be on social media? I mean, you alluded to that a little bit, but I still think appraisers are going to say, yeah, you know what, I'm too busy doing appraisals to get on Facebook.
Okay, so that's the thing. We often say, I'm just too busy for Facebook, or I'm too busy for Twitter, or, sometimes I get a lot of sort of backhanded compliments where people say, "Hi, Ryan, I really love your blog. I love what you're doing, and I subscribe, and, this is so good, but I just don't see how you have the time." And so it's always funny. But then I would turn the tables and say, how do you not have the time to market your business? Right. Okay. We often think that the best time to market is when things slow up, when the phone stops ringing. But the best time to market is actually during every season, especially when you're busy, because the goal is to continue throwing out that line so that you have a consistent pool of business. And if you're blessed right now to be turning down orders, then fantastic, but that won't always be the case. And so we've got to connect with clients and potential clients on a continual basis so that we're simply reaching people. And that really helps us to diversify our workload too, and really work for the types of clients that we want to work for. Okay. We're not victims in this industry. We don't have to work for bad clients. Okay.
Really?
We don't have, really. And so, but I think that there are some appraisers out there who, and I deeply love our industry. I'm a board member in the Real Estate Appraisers Association of Sacramento.
Oh, good for you.
I talk to appraisers every single day from around the country. People email me, and maybe I'll give them tips, and we'll have the opportunity to connect a little bit. And I really do root for other appraisers, and I want other appraisers to succeed. And it's really heartbreaking and sad to see other appraisers who are stuck in this negativity, just complaining about HVCC or the industry, complaining about low fees and AMCs, and really not able to find clients who do pay well, or maybe to find actual joy in business, to enjoy it, and because I think that is highly, highly possible. And I would rather pursue avenues of business where I can be positive and where I can actually enjoy my clients. And so why be on social media? Because I think that it's the perfect pathway to help make that happen, to reach out and not only to get some lender work, but maybe to get some non-lender work also. And so that, we become too the local expert. Okay, you might be the best appraiser in the world, but if nobody knows about you, then guess what? They're going to hire the person that they know about. And so
who may be mediocre, by the way.
Who maybe, yeah, and and there's a humility about appraising. There's no such thing as a perfect appraiser, but at the same time, we need to put ourselves out there. Okay, it can be a scary thing to try to go connect with people, but it can be very powerful though when we do begin to connect with others. And then all of a sudden, in the way that that you're connecting with others and doing a good job, is that people begin to ask you questions. Hey, what about this? What about that? And if they're not asking you questions, you probably aren't connected with others. Okay. And so that's where social media can come into play, because you can connect with the real estate community or attorneys or, estate planners or whoever it is that you would like to work for. Those are the people that you've got to figure out, where do I need to cast my line to start connecting with others?
So this term social media is a huge world. And I think sometimes, especially appraisers, and let's just face it, the average age, at least the last time I heard this statistic, the average age of appraisers today is 62 years old, folks. That's the average age, meaning there's appraisers that are much more experienced than 62 and some that are not so experienced. But for the most part, I would say that we are on the experience side of the world. We have a lot of appraisers who are nearing retirement age, who feel they can't maybe retire now, or they love what they're doing and they keep doing it. But some of them have not been raised in the social media side of things. They haven't been raised like some of the younger bucks who are more familiar with the technology. And I think it can be somewhat overwhelming, this whole world of social media where there are so many platforms. You know, you've got Twitter, and you've got Facebook, and you've got blogs, and you've got Instagram, and YouTube, and Pinterest. And I mean, I could just keep naming things over and over. There's so many things to do. My question for you is, which platforms are you currently active on, Ryan? And why did you choose the ones that you did? Or are you just on all of them?
Sure. Well, first off, I am absolutely not on all of them. Okay, there's some really successful platforms out there, but I choose not to be a part of them. There's Snapchat. It's huge, but that's not where I want to spend my time. I don't think my clients are spending their time on there. See, my clients aren't junior hires. And so right. I don't want to try to reach junior hires on Snapchat.
We got another 14-year-old ordering an appraisal, right?
Yes, FHA. All right. Woo. They're getting younger every day.
Yeah, right.
And so I've got to ask the question, where are my clients? And so one of the first networks I started on was Facebook. And some people think of Facebook like it's this holy thing to be able to connect with people. Well, Facebook is just for family and friends. And I'd politely remind everyone that Facebook is a multi-billion-dollar corporation that's trying to make money off of us every time we log in through ads. Right. And so it's not this holy thing. And it can be this thing where you can connect with people, have a page for your business, you know, post every once in a while, maybe once or twice a week there. But I would say even in your existing friends, you know, let people into your circles who you begin to do business with, okay? Maybe you join a local realtor association and you join a committee there, which is one of the best ways to gain business, okay? When you start serving, it's wonderful. And when you have that committee meeting, you have to go to the meeting. It forces you to get in front of people. It's not just about, you know, Facebook and social media. We also get in front of others, okay? But then you start to meet these people and you add them into your network. I'm talking your personal stuff, okay? And so, you know, when you're talking about life, you know, and your kids and people are seeing that and you get to build a relationship with people, you comment on their stuff and you begin to over time to get to know people, okay? So you're forging important relationships and they're seeing you on a consistent basis. Maybe you log into Facebook and you spend a few minutes there each day and, you know, post something if you want every day, or if it's just, you know, maybe twice a week, try to post something meaningful. You know, you don't want to be like driving to an inspection, okay? Eating a taco at Del Taco. So, or, you know, I mean that those types of things don't do anything, or you know, the passive aggressive post where could this day get any more difficult, you know?
Right. I hope somebody comments on that so I can explain, right?
Yeah, so I think trying to find a way, what could I do to connect with people? What type of content would be interesting? You know, maybe tone down your cat videos if there's 10 a day, you know, relax on those, but you know, see what other people are sharing and, you know, and comment on their stuff and just be authentic. Okay. So there's nothing.
Go ahead.
Good. I was just going to say authenticity is really attractive. Okay. A lot of times we think about social media and we think this is great because now I can broadcast my business and just fire away information about my company. But that's social media is not the yellow pages. But what we can do is as we build relationship with people, we build that trust and rapport over months and over years. And then it comes back tenfold in business as we're authentic.
So what I'm hearing you talk about is more of a personal Facebook page and not necessarily a business page. Do you have one of each, or are you more focused on the personal side?
I do. Okay, so I have on my personal one, which I do add realtor friends. And I say friends because they do become friends over time. Yeah. I've been involved I belong to the association for, I believe, 5 or 6 years. I am on a couple of committees, and so it forces me to interact with others. But, you know, I get friend requests from, you know, other realtors or loan officers, title professionals. That's fine. I will invite them into my personal space as long as they're safe people, you know, and that's fine. But I do have my business page also, and that's where I'm going to post about business. And so I have one blog post every week. I know that one of my posts is going to be the blog post I wrote. I'm going to share, you know, some creative title or question, and then I'm going to share the post on there, the link to it. And then I'm going to probably share one other time each week. And my rationale is that people don't want to hear from anyone, you know, 10 times a day. And so I don't want to overwhelm people to the point where they're blocking me or where they're unliking my page, because my goal is to connect with people rather than overwhelm them.
Okay. So you've talked about Facebook. What other platforms are you on?
I'm on Twitter, and Twitter is a great little tool. And I would recommend for anyone, go to twitter.com. Even if you don't want to be there, just reserve a profile. Okay, create a profile so that way you have it just in case you want to begin using it. And I find it a way to build clout, to build expertise, to build relationship with people who are local. Okay, I'm interested in, there's people I follow nationally and stuff, but I'm really focused on who's talking about Sacramento, because I want to be known as the Sacramento Appraiser, but I want to have conversation with people. And some of the conversation I'm not saying talking about USPAP every day and stuff where people would think, I'm really not interested in that. But when we begin to talk about, I might pose a question on Twitter. I inspected a house and there was a suicide. How do you think, would you buy a house where there was a suicide?
Right.
And it was interesting. I asked that a couple weeks ago, and great to see the responses. And so we've started to develop some conversation there.
Now, I would guess that something like that can also, and I want to talk about this more later on in the interview here, but I would assume questions like that could then turn into a blog post down the road.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so that's where, blog posts come from in my mind. People ask me a question and then, or there's this conversation, and then the spark is generated. I jot down a thought right in front of me on my corkboard, and maybe I'll get to that in a few weeks. Maybe it'll be a few months.
Right. Okay. So as you're talking here, I'm hearing Facebook, I'm hearing Twitter. I know that you've got a website with blogs. Any other platforms that you're currently active on?
Yeah, I think one of the most important business platforms, which happens to be one of the easiest ones to maintain, is LinkedIn. And so if you're not in LinkedIn, I would really encourage you to get out there, get on LinkedIn, have an adequate profile pic and, that looks professional, and update your profile from now and again. Maybe log in once a week and post something meaningful about your housing market. Or maybe it's a blog post that you wrote, log in and share about that. But the great thing about LinkedIn is that people can search their inboxes and add people to LinkedIn based on who they have emailed. All right. So I don't recommend trying to add everyone and their mom who you've emailed, because you certainly don't want to be connected with all those people.
Right. Especially your mom.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I can feel the tension on the other side, the listener side of the podcast right now, because there's appraisers who are in their car, they're driving around, they're listening to you and I talk about social media, and they're getting a little overwhelmed. And they're basically saying, man, this just seems like, too much. I mean, so I've got to create a profile on LinkedIn. I've got to create a profile on Twitter. I've got to create not one, but two profiles on Facebook, one for my business, one for my personal site. I've got to have a website. I've got to have a blog. Geez, you know what? Never mind. I'm good where I'm at. What would you say to an appraiser like that?
Well, see, that's the thing. I think that sometimes we get so overwhelmed with information that there's so much, that there's this overwhelming to-do list that we never actually get started. And so I think that we have to pace ourselves and just realize LinkedIn, I'm going to log in, I'm going to create a profile. I will do that one time, and then it's autopilot. Okay. Maybe I log in twice a month there and post something meaningful. I'm talking about 2 sentences. I'm not talking about and so my Facebook page, I create it one time. All right. Then I log in twice a week, and post something meaningful. Right. And so, there's some startup things, but the reality is that I think that sometimes we say things like that, but we've got to realize is that when we're running a business, there's no such thing as a system that doesn't require work. All right. So sometimes we look at social media and think, oh, that's so overwhelming. I can't believe that. But what is on the other side? What if we were to go knock on doors of lawyers or estate planners, or we were to do everything in the physical world? We're advertising in different places. There's work involved. Okay, so it's a fallacy to think that something is not going to take time. Okay, that's where it comes in, where people say, Ryan, I can't believe that you do this. How do you have the time? And I would just simply say, how do you not have the time to incorporate into your business a consistent connection point with people? Right. Okay, we've got to connect with people, or we've got to send those thank you cards when people send us orders, or which I need to get better at very, very clearly. But we've got to have those touch points. All right, because I think that marketing is what feeds our business, and it's what nurtures us. All right, so we've got to do something, whether it's someone decides, you know what, I'm going to try to connect with some people on Facebook. Great. then focus on that. You don't have to get on the 10 networks and try to do that. Okay. One of the other things, one of my favorite platforms is actually Instagram, and it's sharing photos. And it's one of the fastest growing social networks in the world. And it's just a fantastic way to connect with people. And again, you can find people to follow just by doing a search of letting Instagram search the people in your email inbox. And so I find, I started out with one person I was following, and maybe that person followed me back. But, over time, I'm beginning to connect with people. Maybe I like their photos. There's a little heart you click to heart their photos. Or maybe I comment on something that someone posts on. And I'll be honest, Dustin, social media can be really overwhelming. But for me personally, honestly, I recently uninstalled Facebook and Instagram from my phone. And you might think, okay, that's an interesting thing to share when we're talking about social media, but because I found myself spending so much time on there. Anytime I had an empty moment, okay, what's going on Facebook? Yeah. Yep. And I didn't like that in my life. And so when I post to Facebook, I'm at my desktop. Or I can open up my mobile phone. Instead of having the Facebook app, I can go to facebook.com on the internet, okay, and post a photo. Right. And I find for me, that's a safeguard to protect against spending so much time there. Same thing with Instagram for me. So when I want to post a photo, I'll reinstall the Instagram app, post the photo, maybe and respond to any comments, and then uninstall it.
Wow,
okay?
Wow, that's quite an arresting thing to be willing to do to yourself.
Well, see, it's so easy to do, but I find for me, I can take that extra 30 seconds to reinstall an app if I want to. But for me, it creates, I think, more peace in my life, more peace in my heart, where I'm not spending all of those blank moments on something that, let's face it, it probably doesn't matter if I log into Facebook and if I'm logging in 10 or 20 times or however many times a day. I want to have more of a clutter-free mind. And just because I'm involved in social media doesn't mean that I have to be there every single moment. Okay.
This is great advice. And I'll tell you, it's great advice for me because I'll just tell you, Ryan, I despised, loathed Facebook for years and years and years. I decided to get on, and within 6 months, I decided to get back off because I found myself doing exactly what you're describing. And within about 3-4 months, I got back on because I knew that it was so important to my business. And I tell you, I'm right back there now. I mean, every free moment, I'm standing in the grocery store line. I have to admit it. Even at a red light in the middle of town, if I'm sitting there, I'm going to reach over and I'm going to jump on Facebook. And I hate it about myself, but I love what you're saying because I think if we just put some barriers, maybe some hurdles in place, it will allow us to still be active, still be involved, and still be driving the business that we need to drive on social media, but not be so overwhelmed that that's our whole life.
Absolutely. And everyone can find their own system, okay? And we've got to do that. And because I look at it this way: do I want my kids to do what I want to do, what I'm doing right now?
Right.
And the answer is absolutely no. And so I'm constantly challenged with how can I, get unaddicted? How can I be in a place that's more healthy? And so I found that to be, profoundly helpful for me. And, with Twitter, I'm just not tempted the same way with Twitter. It's pretty chaotic there when I log in. And so that doesn't work for me, but that really does help me. And I would just recommend for everyone, find your rhythm. If I could say one thing about Facebook too, is that in social media in general, have a positive vibe. If negativity isn't attractive to friends, it's not attractive for business. And remember that what you post in private could be made public someday. Right. Okay. We all see examples of that in the media where someone posts something privately. And what if Facebook changed the rules in this Facebook group and you're ranting about real estate agents? It's just be careful what you say. And I would say maybe self-monitor yourself too. If you feel really burned in the appraisal industry, you're upset, you're just pissed off, then I understand that. My heart goes out to you, but I would just really challenge you and say, maybe it's time this year to get into a healthier place. And one of the best ways to do that is to surround yourself with people who are positive and people who are forward thinking, maybe people that are progressive about their businesses, and really focus focused on achieving some goals, and then maybe to eliminate some of the negativity. Okay, maybe it's not being a part of certain forums, or just saying, you know what, I really can't comment on that post because it's going to rile me up, and that's just not a good vibe for business. Okay, what if you want to work with real estate agents, but then you're saying that with one hand, but on the other hand, you spend all your time bashing them online. That's not a good thing.
Right. Very good. So let's talk time then. For just maybe this is unfair to even ask this, because if somebody asked me this, I would probably underestimate. I don't even know if I know for sure. How much time do you think you're spending per day or per week total on your social media platforms?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, per day, it's probably at least 30 or 40 minutes.
Okay.
And each blog post I write probably takes me a good hour to write.
Right.
So
okay, very good.
So I'm definitely spending a few hours a week.
Sure.
Because it involves when someone comments on something, I'm commenting back. Okay, because I'm building that relationship.
Right.
Okay, I'm not just putting this stuff out there and like people just need to comment on it. No, I want to build relationship with people, and so
it has to be back and forth, is what you're saying.
Oh yeah, and if it's not, then we just have to ask ourselves, well, what are we doing, and what can we do differently if we just sort of broadcasting to everyone?
Right.
So we don't want to talk at people. We want to actually be social. That's what it's called, right? Social media.
Very good. So you've been in this industry long enough to kind of do the before and after type thing here, meaning you were an appraiser before social media was big, and you're an appraiser now after that it's big, and I assume your business has changed. Can you talk to us a little bit about the changes that have occurred in your business and why an appraiser should think about getting involved in social media?
Yeah. Well, I think I started my blog 7 years ago, and it was really when HVCC began to take root. And for me, it was sort of one of those writing on the wall moments where I thought, a lot of my clients are gone now, and this is going to be a game changer. And who do I really want to work for? Who is it that if I could, pick my clients, who would I want to work for? And as I continually ask that question, I go after clients. And for me, having a blog, and again, I just post once a week. I used to post way too many times until I learned that you should just post once a week, or when you start out, post once a month. I mean, ease into it. But I think that it's really given me a lot of expertise. It's given me a lot of opportunities. People ask me to come speak to their offices. Right now, I don't have to actively, market myself for that because I'm getting so many invitations. Some of them are paid speaking gigs also. But it's given me a lot of clout where, all of a sudden the local newspapers are reaching out and saying, hey, what do you think about this? Because they know me. Okay, I've had some awards from the local Realtor Association. Last year, I was actually the Affiliate of the Year, which is just amazing, especially for an appraiser because we're sort of the butt end of the joke, right? Or the target.
Right, exactly.
And so I think that just the expertise that it's brought, just giving me more of a voice to be able to speak into issues and and to really help people. Okay, it's just great when someone has a question that I don't have to close every deal. I don't have to try to get them. Well, let's do an appraisal together. If someone emails me and they ask a question, then great. I have the joy of answering that question. And the cool part is that at some point later, I have some great content for my blog because I already answered that question. So it's just a cut and paste job from my sent folder, right? So that's the beauty of it. But I would say it's dramatically changed in terms of my lender versus non-lender work. I used to do almost almost no non-lender work whatsoever. And for me now, in the last month or so, I think I've accepted maybe 2 lender assignments.
Wow.
And so it's changed the way. And I will say one thing, Dustin, I appreciate about you is that you actually say, hey, lender work is okay. And I love that because a lot of times in this industry, we're in this place where, non-lender work is the holy grail. And I would say on both sides of the fence, there's issues. There are problems with both of them. And so, but for me, it's been really exciting to be on this journey for the last 7 years. And really, I feel like about 4 or 5 years ago, I really began to hit my stride. Okay, so I'm putting in the work. I'm consistent. Even when I'm busy, I'm like, hey, I want to have that one blog post out there each week. And then I'm going to share that blog post on Facebook. I'm going to share it on Twitter. I have a list of email subscribers, which is really the bread and butter because I want those subscribers because it helps put me in front of people. It helps connect me with others. Okay. But really, I feel like I've hit a stride where things are really coming together, and I've just had some amazing opportunities, to do some litigation work over this last year, and just to have so many referrals, because people know me, and that's a huge honor. And so I'd say, 7 years ago, I had I had zero quotes in the local newspapers. People didn't know about me at all. And so now it's different, but it's been a lot of hard work and effort and intention, but it all started with a decision to say, you know what, I want to blog. I want to start reaching a different type of client. And sure, there's other appraisers who maybe they're more eloquent or maybe they're even more experienced, but I would just say, well, get out there then. Let people see your expertise, and I would love to see it. And I would love to be the first one to comment on your blog and say, great job.
Awesome. And speaking of blogs, I want to talk more with Ryan about blogs. We've been talking mostly about social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, these types of formats, but I want to talk more about blogs and what it takes to do a blog and why an appraiser should be involved in blogging, because that's really the bread and butter of this whole thing. The social media really drives to the blog and the blog back to the social media. But first, I want to talk to you a little bit about our sponsors. Folks, if you have not done so already, I want you to hit pause right now on the podcast. I want you to go to your computer or your smartphone, and I just want you to type in workingre.com. Okay, WORKING. RE is in real estate, workingre.com. And I want you to just check out their website. You will be amazed at the resources that are there. I know you get their print magazine. I know that you get that every quarter. But if you have not looked up Working RE, you need to. I want you to go to the resources page. I want you to go to the webinars page and the connection to the blogs and the surveys. There are so many continuing ed items and things that you can get online that you can't get in the print version. I'll just give you two resources that I have thrown out there as I've been a part of Working RE magazine. Number one is Going Paperless, a webinar. There are resources. It's a whole package on how to go paperless, including a book. I wrote a book on how to go paperless, and it's not a boring book on how to go paperless. It's actually a story about an appraiser that goes paperless and gives you the information on how to go paperless. There's also information on mobile appraising, and if you want to be a mobile appraiser, you can check out the resources that I have on workingre.com on that as well. Check them out, Working RE, if you want to be informed, if you want to know what's going on in the appraisal industry, and you want to be more effective and efficient at what you do as a real estate appraiser, you need to check out Working RE. Again, workingre.com for more information. Speaking of being more efficient, more effective at what you do, if you do not know about DataMaster at this point, folks, what rock are you living under? You need to check them out. DataMaster is now offering a free 14-day trial. It is at datamasterfreetrial.com/coach, datamasterfreetrial.com/coach. And I'm telling you, appraisers, when they take this challenge, are surprised. The challenge is this. I want you to time how long it takes you to put together an MC sheet, how long it takes you to take all the information from the courthouse, the county data, and put it into the subject section of your form. And I also want you to time how long it will take you to put a comp or comps, as the case may be, into your appraisal report. I want you to add all that together, and then I want you to go to datamasterfreetrial.com/coach and just know that in 30 seconds, in 60 seconds, you can completely wipe out all of that time. I'm telling you, folks, it's 45 minutes to an hour on an average appraisal to get all that information into the report. And I'm not talking about analysis here. I'm talking about simply doing data entry. That's what DataMaster does for you. Check them out again, datamasterfreetrial.com/coach. And finally, we are sponsored by A La Mode. A La Mode, my favorite appraisal software. They've been in business almost 30 years. I've been using them 20 years, 2 decades. I've been using A La Mode. I tell you, they were good in the beginning. They've come a long way. I love the seamless connection that I now have between the field and my office, and I have that only through A La Mode. alamode.com/free trial for a free 15-day trial of A La Mode. This is the first time they've ever offered that, folks. A 15-day free trial, no obligation. Go to alamode.com, www.alamode.com/free trial for more information. All right, folks, we are back. Today we are talking with Ryan Lundquist. Ryan is out of Sacramento, California, sometimes known as Sac Appraiser. His URL, his website is sacramentoappraisalblog.com. And Ryan, that's probably what drew me to you first, was your blog. I just loved the information that you were sharing with people. Your focus seems to be where my focus is on appraisers across the country, and I know you do some of that as well, helping appraisers as you're doing today across the country. Your focus is on the local market and helping potential clients, if you will, real estate agents, homeowners, individuals who would be the procurer of your appraisal services to learn more about the appraisal industry, to learn more about how an appraisal works, to learn more about what they need to do to prepare for an appraisal. These are the kind of things that you do on your appraisal blog, but man, it sure seems like a lot of work.
Yeah, well, hey, but again, it's always work. Anything we do is work. And so we've got to it's a relative thing that something is work. But I appreciate the kudos. And yeah, my blog exists to help illuminate the local housing market and really to help real estate agents understand things about value. I'm really thankful to have a lot of appraisers who subscribe to and to ask those questions. I mean, how much is that golf course location is worth? Or how do we deal with price per square foot in real estate? Or, why is the market moving? How does financing play into that? Or you get 3 appraisals on a property. How come they all have different values? What's up with this? And so it creates conversation, but that I think in a lot of cases can be appealing, nationally, but it helps to answer questions. And so really, why blog? Because people are going to Google to find answers. So Dustin, what's the first thing you do when the Yellow Pages comes to your doorstep, assuming that happens in Idaho? What do you do?
I got a fireplace recently, and so it makes some really good starter fluid.
Exactly. If you're lucky, you'll notice who the advertiser is on the back. But otherwise, people go to Google and Bing and Yahoo and whatever search engine they go to today. And so when they type in issues, need a date of death appraisal, in Idaho, or they have questions about that golf course location or whatever it is, then they're beginning to find you because you've created some fodder for Google to find.
So the questions that you're bringing up are actually questions. Every single question you just brought up, at least for my local area, I could probably answer off the top of my head. In other words, you said, well, people are wondering about what a golf course, does to the value of an appraisal, or, if you got 3 appraisers and they all come at a different value, why is that? Those are things that, if I were at an event and a real estate agent came up and asked me any of those questions, I think that we could have a pretty intelligent conversation on any one of those topics. So what's the difference then between knowing the answer to those and then putting it on paper? In other words, why are appraisers not making that leap? Because I think most of them understand, they know the answers to those questions, but they're not taking it to the computer and they're not putting it on paper. Why would they want to do that?
Because we can build our database, okay? We can start to get people who subscribe who are interested in these things, right? We are trying to reach a specific client, okay? Existing clients, potential clients. We want to have people subscribe so that they get posts regularly, okay? And these are helpful things that we're talking about. They're interesting. And so what we're doing is, especially when it comes to real estate agents who might, give us referrals down the road for divorce or pre-list appraisals and such, is that we're arming them with the ability to understand the market. And when we help them begin to do their job even more effectively, we become a profound resource. We become the expert. And all of a sudden, when they get a referral for an appraisal, guess who they're going to send it to? Yeah. That appraiser who is helping me, not the one who's broadcasting the spammy emails or who added me without permission. I mean, these are people who you want to work hard for over time, to getting subscribers. And, you'll start out with one subscriber who, probably be your mom. Then you'll get your second subscriber will be, one of your family members, but then you'll slowly build your list, 3, 4, 5. And so then when you do a presentation in an office, great, get people's business cards and say, I'm going to email you this helpful document I created. And then in that email, please subscribe to my blog. I only have 1 post per week. I'm here to help. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. And so over time, we get people into our arena so that we can begin to have those conversations. And it's really great because I can learn a lot from real estate agents too. I do every single week. And and there's just a humility about the market. No one has a corner on it. It's this, beastly thing that's always changing, and it's just so interesting to consider. So I know a lot of appraisers, though, they might think, well, I'm not necessarily eloquent with words. That's okay. A blog post doesn't have to be a home run. I would say get on base, write a paragraph, okay? Don't do a marathon post because people aren't going to read it. And so try to, hone down your thoughts, maybe a few paragraphs, and go from there. That's completely fine. Or if you're into photography as an appraiser, maybe take some photos and maybe talk about, what they mean for your local market. If you're more of a video person or a podcast person, I got to tell you, there's a lot of room in the industry for video and podcasting growth. There just is.
So that's probably the biggest thing that I get from appraisers when I talk to them about the importance of having, number one, a website. I had Roy Meyer. I know you know Roy.
Yeah.
I had him on a couple weeks ago, and he was talking about this very thing. And he said that he often travels and talks to big appraiser groups, and a lot of times he'll poll them and ask them how many have websites. And if I remember correctly, he said something like 40% of appraisers have websites, meaning 60% don't. Now, that seems like a crazy, crazy number to me, but I would say let's just give them the benefit of the doubt and say, 40% of appraisers have websites. I would say 2% of those have blogs on their websites. And I think a lot of times when I talk to appraisers about the importance of having a blog, and I often point to your blog and say, look what Ryan's doing, and can you see why that would be a benefit in your life? The number one excuse, the number one problem that we run into with appraisers is they say, I'm just not a writer. I'm just not a writer. So again, I know you kind of already answered this. There's other things you can do. You can podcast, you can do videos, you can do pictures, but let's say somebody wants to have a blog. They want to write a blog, but they are just not a writer. What do you say to somebody like that?
Well, I would say operate out of your strengths, first of all. Don't try to be like other people. Don't try to replicate what someone else has done, because their success might be because of their giftings. And if you have different gifts or a different skill set or different passions, then find a way for your passions to work for you. Don't make connecting with people something tedious and something so scary. Okay, make it something natural. Okay, you like to fish, go find those other people who like to fish in the real estate community. You like to hunt, that's probably more of an Idaho thing, especially. Right? Then find those people who like to hunt. Okay, you like photography. Find a way to bring your passion into it, because that'll make it a whole lot more fun. But I would say when it comes to blogging, remember, you start a blog, it's a part of your website. It doesn't have to be this overwhelming thing, okay? I have over 1,000 posts now, partly because I used to post way too much, okay? You can't get to that level unless you post way too much, okay? Even over 7 years. Right. Okay, so now I've honed it down to something more manageable, one time a week. But really, when you start, like I said before, you can do one post a month. And you sit down. I have this, Dustin, I can send you a link to a topical blog posting format that I use. It just enables people to come up with 20 to 30 ideas. Okay, you keep those ideas in front of you, and then so you can have a track to run on for your blog. Okay, if you sit down and then all of a sudden think, okay, it's Tuesday, it's time for my post. What am I going to write about? Then it'll feel tedious. It will feel very overwhelming. But if you have the track to run on in front of you and you're seeing it every day and you're thinking, next week I want to write about this. The following week I know what I'm going to write about. Or I just answered a question to a real estate agent and I know this answer is going to be very relevant. This topic is, and you pretty much can do a cut and paste job. Don't share someone's identity or anything like that, but that's where it makes it easy. But I would say too, if blogging is not something that sounds appealing, then I just say, find something that does, get out there in a way where you can make meaningful connections with people, because that's what it's about.
These are great tips. Any other helpful tips or ideas that you might have for the folks as we part here?
No, I just say decide who you're going to be in your business, and just really think of these coming years. And if you're part of the exodus of the industry, you're ready to retire because you're getting up there in years, and then that's fine. But think about if you're struggling, especially, or you're not where you're at, think about what can it look like to reinvent yourself, to begin to put yourself out there. It can feel very scary to go to that network meeting and to do that handshake and to meet people. But really, that's one of the best things we can do. Okay, so blogging is sort of like reaching out your hand to begin to meet locals and to begin to meet others even nationally. But begin to do some of those things, but also find a committee to join. Maybe it's a chamber of commerce. Maybe it's a local realtor association. Just get out there, and I think you're gonna see some results over time.
Wonderful. Ryan Lundquist, thank you very much for your time, for your information. You're very knowledgeable, and this has been very, very helpful, I think, to the listeners. One more time, a shout out to your website. What is it again?
It's sacramentoappraisalblog.com.
Folks, if you have not gone there yet, I need you to go there. It is cool. Just go back, just look at some of the great posts that Ryan has. Don't plagiarize, but it might give you some ideas of some things that you can do in your own local market as well. So, Ryan, thank you once again. Let's do this again sometime, shall we?
Hey, absolutely. Thank you so much, Dustin. Really appreciate it.
Wonderful. That was Ryan Lundquist out of Sacramento, folks. You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris, and we will catch you next week.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.
Yeah, I'm here. I can hear you. Could hear you. Hello. Test 1, 2, 3.